Alright, I am back with you once again, and it's time for the Nintendo 64 Top 5. Now, of course, for this Top 5, I'll be going over my Top 5 favorite Nintendo 64 video games of all time, in no particular order. And we are going to start off with number 5. And coming in at number 5 is Pokemon Stadium. Now, this game, of course, based on the original Red, Blue, and Yellow Game Boy games. Means you can find the scenes with the original 150 Pokemon. Now, if you didn't have the N64 transfer pack, then you could only use the Pokemon that they give you. But if you're using your Game Boy packs in the transfer pack, then you could also carry over your Pokemon from Red, Blue, and Yellow into battle within Pokemon Stadium. Another great thing about this particular game is that you can also play the original Red, Blue, and Yellow Pokemon games on games for the Game Boy on this game using the transfer pack. Pretty cool, huh? So, Pokemon Stadium, number 5 on my top 5. Showing up at number 4, and this would probably be the number 1 on most people's lists, but for me, it's coming in at number 4. And that, of course, is the game that launched with the Nintendo 64 in 1996, Super Mario 64. This was the game that revolutionized the Nintendo 64 and set off a wave of 3D gaming. Not only that, also, of course, this also has the same old tiring storyline about Peach being kidnapped by Bowser. What else is new? And you have to rescue her. There are 120 stars to collect in all in that game, and some of which you have to collect by gathering 100 coins in the level. You also have to fight Bowser 3 times, and after his third defeat, you complete the game. Now, although there are 120 stars in the game, you unlock the final Bowser door at 70, so it is technically possible to beat the game with less than 120 stars. But first, now there is a cannon on the front of the courtyard in the front of the castle in that game. However, you cannot access it unless you have collected all 120 stars. At that point, you can then go in the cannon, and then you get to see Yoshi, who will give you 100 free lives. So, number 4 is Super Mario 64. At number 3, and it's a cartridge that I actually do not own right now. I have in my collection at the moment, and it is Mario Kart 64. A great multiplayer game. And of course, you can race all sorts of Grand Prix at the 50cc, 100cc, and 150cc level, and then completing all of those tracks on all those difficulties results in the extra mode being unlocked, which is essentially just 150cc backwards. You can also go head-to-head in versus mode, or try to outlast the other in battle mode by popping each other's balloons. It's also my favorite Mario Kart game in the series, and on my top 5 it comes in at number 3. It is great fun. And at number 2 is Cruisin USA. Now, this is a game that I have on Virtual Console right now, where you race across the US trying to complete the fast times. And it's possible. Well, it's a really fun racing game, also great for multiplayer. It's also one of the The first title was released for the Nintendo 64 in 1996. The game was also first released in the arcades in 1994 and then ported over to the Nintendo 64 2 years later. And while the N64 version is pretty good, the arcade version I think is way better. But yet, it still doesn't deter me from having it show up at number 2 on my list. And if you're wondering what number 1 on my list would be, then, well, look no further than the familiar theme. Friends, parties, and board games. Yes, the original Mario Party for the Nintendo 64 comes in at number 1. Right now, this game, well, it does have some issues. Well, mainly the fact that there are some games in it that require you to rotate the joystick as fast as you can. And particularly games like Pedal Power, and Tug of War. Ugh, that can really do one on your hands. Despite though it is a multiplayer game, as you try to collect the most stars just by the end of the game and become the superstar. This game has great replay value, and but be warned, it's a game that can cause friendships to die. But still, number 1 on my top 5, Mario Party for the Nintendo 64. The original, mind you. And that's it for my top 5.